Yeah, I think the pet
It has
cycle.
low
They
health.
share a
Let's
health
kill
pool.
it first. Meanwhile,
Spoilers.
fucking kill the puppy. The other guy enrages.
Someone just
Well, there's a
tell
debuff.
us.
There's
Come
a
on,
debuff
stop
on
it.
him that says all damage taken is dealt to allies. So it's not even spoiler. It's just reading the debuff on the target.
Why are you reading debuffs?
Dang. I'm here to raid, not read. Good day, folks. This is Soul, and welcome back to Warcraft Weekly, the show. Actually, the show. Yeah, boy. We've made it to week 3 of Shadowlands, thanks to our beloved subscribers on Twitch and Patreon, and to you, the viewers who I hope who've been having a good time early in this expansion. And it's weird. It's kind of surreal because even after this week, emerging from Castle Nathria normal, a smoked and defeated husk of a man, straight up, I'm having I guess the best expansion experience ever. I think I could say that. Yeah, okay. I'm overwhelmed and torn between activities that are either very important for raiding, which is my big group activity, and we had a pretty bad first week, but I'm still happy, or I obsess over not so important things like watching the mission table animations go do their thing. You must be like, oh, Soul, you're such a mobile game fascist commie shill, aren't you? Okay. Let's kick it off with some worthless news, though. A recent article boasts that World of Warcraft Shadowlands sold 3.7 million copies in the first 24 hours of sales, which obviously includes pre-orders. And that's nice. I mean, Cyberpunk 2077, which came out just this week, may claim 10 or more million copies sold between PC and console platforms, but it's clear that World of Warcraft still commands a high-profile space in this genre, and it's nice. Okay, actually, it's really nothing more than trivia that fanboys and haters wield like a mallet in discussion circles, because as I've mentioned the other week, we all have our individual stories, and I've heard the spectrum. Some people are happily plugging away, not even max level yet. They're just enjoying the new world to explore. Others are soaking up content like a sponge, eager to farm up every mount and transmog, and they want to complete all the Covenant-specific things because as gamers we hunger. And others still are feeling crushed under the so-called circle of toxicity in dungeons and now raids. Some have outright quit over frustrations in Torghast. But the point is to not belittle or nitpick the player concerns and be like, okay, get good, noob, or make your own group or guild, and etc., but to again point out that no expansion launch could ever be perfect because World of Warcraft is a game that is made for everybody, but is specifically tailored to nobody at the same time. But I can't help but feel like the mood around modern World of Warcraft has been in the best state that it's been in for years, and it's gained more momentum than it ever has in recent memory. My personal assessment came when well over 30 people showed up for day 1 of raiding, and that's never ever happened before. And then it happened again on our second raid night. It was both exciting and horrifying, and as a guild leader, I'm going to set aside some time to talk candidly about that in a separate video, but the fact that I'm seeing that much excitement and activity in a sort of sleepy guild like mine, it tells me two things. One is that I'm glad that I've made this place to call home, and people can come back even years later. But two, World of Warcraft just seems to be in a happy place. Quick reminder that, at least as of the publishing of this video, you can still take advantage of the Darkmoon Fair buffs for experience and bonuses. If you feel behind on leveling or repping up in the Maw, pick up that 1 hour buff and you are good to go for an hour. Oh, actually, you lose a little bit of that time because you gotta head back to do what you do, but just do it. As I predicted, the questline to eventually unlock the Twisting Corridors in Torghast has progressed a little bit. It's going to award a total of 250 Soul Ash for legendaries, which presents either a nice bonus or a straight up path to a first legendary for anyone who's been struggling with completing the climb. There's going to be more to this questline, and I predict that more of it will unlock over the course of weeks, meaning access to the Twisting Corridors is still probably a ways away. Don't hold me to this, but I suspect that we're going to get even more Soul Ash from this questline, and it's thanks to the fact that you can fall behind on obtaining Ash. Like, come on, did you complete the max layers to Torghast like each and every week? And did you complete every single Soul Ash mission on your table? Probably not. I imagine most people didn't, just like how most people aren't nearly maxed out with a Venari reputation, or they didn't hard farm like tens of thousands of anima for, whatever it is that you get anima for. More mission table stuff, sure. That said, stay tuned for another quick guide which will show you what you can expect in week 4 of Shadowlands, whether you're trying to stay caught up or if you just want to know what you can look forward to before you run into a wall. The race to World First begins next week, but the pre-show, that is the slaughter of Castle Nathria, wasn't quite the slaughter that some had expected. Nearly across the spectrum, raiders threw themselves at the 10-boss raid and found instances of overtuning that threatened to trip the excitement of running the new raid. So here's some context. Within a 3-day span, heroic Uldir from Battle for Azeroth days was cleared by roughly 30 guilds, and who knows how many pugs. In Castle Nathria, within the same time frame, only 3 guilds had cleared the raid on heroic, 6 at the time of this writing, so I'm sure there's going to be more by the time you watch this, but you get my point. The reasons for this slower progression are numerous, including just not caring about who the heck is heroic world first, ooh. But I mentioned the tuning, which was being touched on and hotfixed throughout the week, with more changes to come. I think this is one of the cracks in the armor with regards to developing remotely, which I don't know squat about, but I imagine that remote collaboration just is not as good as doing in person. I bet that things would have been different otherwise. That's, there's not too much to debate there. And this will really be put to the test next week, when top guilds take a crack at Mythic Nathria. The pandemic, sure, it plays a part. There are bugs, and I would argue that the scaling of encounter mechanics for 30 players, maybe that needs a pass. But let's set aside the fixable mistakes and look into some design decisions made before life as we knew it ended. Without Titan Forging or War Forging, we find that competitive guilds don't have the same opportunity to trivialize heroic gear by spamming Mythic Plus and other content for a chance at Titan Forged gear, and they're not going to have the same opportunity next week when Mythic raids open. The gear from extra roll tokens might have been a drop in the bucket, but that much less gear dropped because the only bit of extra gear that will drop will come from the Great Vault, which will start spitting stuff out next week, and there won't be a PvP chest to open up for the same reason. The infinite farm for those incremental increases in stats for your Heart of Azeroth or Artifact Weapon, that's gone, and replaced by basically 1 Soulbind row per week. Woo! And this just in, apparently the number of gear drops this week has been higher than originally announced, and that's going to be knocked down. It's going to be from 5 pieces to 3 pieces on average for 20 players. We knew this, and we're reacting like it's new. We've pretty much gone back to early Mist of Pandaria gearing, minus the Elder Charms of Good Fortune, plus the Great Vault, with hard caps and carefully designed pacing or time gating of maximum rewards that might sound infuriating, but I'm trying to spin a narrative that suggests those who can clear the content sooner feel like they've truly earned it, before that certain renown breakpoint, before Raid Finder, before that level of legendary or whatever is craftable. We might not fully agree that this is fun on an individual basis, but I'm willing to claim that this is being better received by most players, and it improves the overall atmosphere and health of the game. That might make the race to World First a bit more interesting too. Now I know that you folks, my audience, we tend to lean away from the excitement of the race, but without Titan Forging or Corruption, there's less chaotic randomness to separate these players, and maybe we'll get to see a closer competition based on the merits of skill, and not everyone who stacked all those BOE corruption pieces. We get to just bitch about class balance again. And I guess Covenants too, which I would say is the same thing. How fortunate. Shadowlands endgame at first appears to have stepped up on the difficulty, highlighted by these fewer pieces of gear that drop. You could say that this is to prolong subscription time, because we're not just trying to get the best gear, we're trying to get anything. And in my opinion, I like that. Now, I'm not happy about only killing 3 bosses in normal Nathria this week because I grossly underestimated how many people would show up and how punishing the raid is, but after Nyalotha, with the random Twilight Devastations and the other freaky corruption builds, I feel like I'm waking up. The era of the loot pinata is over, and every drop that you get is precious, even if it's got secondary stats that you don't like. Reset days are going to be like a super awesome event now, with the mindset that with some work you'll get a guaranteed something each week for sure, but hard work will hopefully get you your pick of something better. As for the raid team, I personally feel like I put myself in a bad situation in the guild. Like, not only do I have to work extra hard to get folks up to speed on gear and organization, next week I'm probably going to have to make some tough calls and bench people, which really, it super sucks. I mean, sure, I can cry over the scaling, but outside of extreme outliers like the ones that were hotfixed, I know that I have to see these as challenges to overcome, both for me and the guild, and we can't just wait for a nerf. I send people out to die, and coated in blood and broken armor and fat repair bills, we learn from it, we overcome it, and that's how we get our fun. And yeah, that's what I do. So anyway, thanks again for listening to my self-therapy blog / Warcraft Weekly, and that's the show. Next week is when the final gate opens up. Mythic raids and Raid Finder difficulty are coming. Layers 7 and 8 in Torghast. Woohoo! And I'll have a quick guide to take you through all of that soon. In the meantime, though, I'll hand the mic over to you, and I want to hear from the raiders and the PvPers and the dungeon people, mostly so I can see with jealousy over all the stuff that you got, but mostly to get the vibe. How is raiding for you so far? How many bosses have you killed? How much loot did you get or not get? How awful was your experience, whether it was raiding, dungeons, or PvP? Share that in a comment. Like the video if you enjoyed yourself, consider becoming a valued patron, and subscribe for more of this and all things Warcraft. I'll see you soon. Until then, stay safe, stay healthy, and stay breezy. Alright, Cyberpunk time. Woo, Cyberpunk! It's time to play a real game with real RP elements. I'm gonna play Cyberpunk right now, and then stop the recording. Cyberpunk.